Hey guys, it's West here, back with another episode of the Beginner's Guide series. It's been a short minute since the last episode, and as such there has been some progressional changes and some stuff I want to talk about, but the main focus of this video is going to be the importance of getting into a guild as a beginner or as someone who's looking to progress more quickly at any stage of the game. If you're not in a guild already, you should be in one, and we're going to talk about why here in a moment. First, we'll just go ahead and scroll through the monster box so everybody knows what's going on. We haven't 6-starred anybody new. We've been working on stacking up a bunch of food, and I promise you in storage right now there is plenty of food to make. I believe it's 3 more 6-stars. We've not yet decided who our specific 6-stars are going to be, but with the monsters I'm going to talk about in a moment here, those are likely the ones that are going to be 6-starred. You can see we have a lot of fusion for Vero here. We actually have all the pieces of Vero. All we have to do is level them up. We do have a double XP booster in the box, I believe we do. So we're going to be able to make Vero either, I believe in this coming week, we'll have everything we need. We have quite a bit of essence, so we're going to be able to fuse Veramos and try a pretty interesting build on him that I want to talk about. A little bit unconventional, but I'm pretty excited about talking about that in the future as well. But I don't want to talk about it until I have it runed up, until I can show you guys how it works. So you're not just hearing my theories, you're seeing it in action. So we're going to talk about why I think guilds are so important. First things first, you have these wonderful things called guild battles that happen. As long as your leader sets them up correctly, they should happen pretty frequently. You can see that we do have 6 attacks remaining. I'm going to go through at least 3 of those today through all the different accounts. So as you do those attacks, you're going to earn these things called guild points. The guild points are going to be used to buy these rewards in the guild shop. The main focus, or the primary reward you're going to choose, is going to be the 4-star max rainbow mon, because it's going to help you make 6 stars a lot faster. You're going to get plenty of 3-star max rainbow mon from farming your dungeons, so when you turn them into 4 stars, after 4 of those, you're going to be able to turn this dude into a 5-star, which is going to be 1/5 of a 6-star evolution, because you need 5 of them. So you're going to be speeding up your the rate at which you 6-star monsters if you're getting this, because this 4-star max rainbow mon plus whatever you get from an event, which is going to be roughly once a month, you're going to get another one from an event, plus if you're doing Trial of Ascension, so you're getting 1 of these per week, you're getting 1 or 2 per month from an event, and maybe you're getting 1 or 2 even from Trial of Ascension depending on where you're at, but we'll just say normal for now. So you're getting about 6, maybe 7 of these per month, meaning, you know, 1 2/5 of a 6-star every single month, just from the rainbow mon you're getting, and that's not even counting if you're 5-starring food monsters, you know, with your double XP boosters. So it's really efficient to get these. In addition, there's plenty of other rewards. Some things look tempting, like the scrolls. I would suggest not going for the scrolls just because it's going to set you back a lot. You can see that a single scroll is going to cost, you know, a minimum of 200 for a mystical scroll, 250 for a, you know, any of the elemental scrolls, whereas the rainbow mon itself is only 150. So you see you're paying 50 extra and you're setting yourself back that much. In addition, I would highly recommend you know, going for these Ifrit summoning pieces, because the Ifrits are going to be great for, you know, increasing your damage. They're all great in different places. Of course, everybody knows Theomar's and his quote-unquote reliability, the crazy amount of times he can proc, and Amir's 2 or 3 uses in the game, as well as, you know, Tessarian's wide array of uses between RTA and certain sections of TOA. So the Ifrits are a really good path to choose. Also, I want to talk about these almighty summon pieces. So these are going to be really important if you get Hall of Heroes. Maybe you can only do 3 stages, but you want to get 2 of the monsters, if that makes sense. So you can get 75 pieces of the 4-star, and you could fill in the remaining 25 with the almighty summon pieces. Now these are pretty pricey. It's 200 guild points per 5 of them, but for the amount of, you know, for a 4-star, I'd say, you know, pretty worth it, especially if you look at the rate per a 5-star, because it's going to take you many weeks of 450 you know, Ifrit summoning pieces, a bare minimum of 5 weeks, and that's assuming you can get 900 guild points per week, which I don't think is very realistic depending on where you're at in the game. If you're in a farming guild and you're a higher level player, maybe, Even then, I think it's still a little bit of a stretch to try to aim for that within just 5 weeks, but it's pretty quick to fill in the rest of your 4-star with this. It's going to be especially important when you go for the Guild Magic Shop monsters, which we're going to be talking about in a moment. Guild Magic Shop monsters are going to be very influential in this specific account's progression. Next we have Siege Battle. Now Siege Battle I don't really stress about on this account just because in a lot of situations we can't defeat some of the defenses because there's Nat 5 defenses for higher level fighter players, so we're not really able to do a crazy amount in the Guild Wars, so I don't really stress too much about getting it done. I do, however, open the Guild Magic box, the Magic Box rewards to hopefully get something. Sometimes we get a scroll. Occasionally you can even get a Devilmon, even at the lower ranked boxes, so if you happen to get a reward like that, it's great. But I don't really, like I said, I don't really stress about it too much. Now, as you progress in the account and as your runes get better, you will be able to do more against certain defenses. Now, if you see easy defenses, you should go for them because you can get crazy crystal and crazy guild point rewards as a result of it. I'll pop up on screen a screenshot of my account getting a crazy reward. Now, this is my main. Keep that in mind. In a farming guild that farms around low to mid fighter, so the defenses are relatively easy, so I can clear some of the defenses with only 1 or 2 monsters, and by doing that I am using my total amount, my 30 monsters, more effectively, therefore getting better rewards. But it's just kind of an example of what you can do. There's also Tartarus, Labyrinth. All these things are only accessible if you're in a guild of people. Another thing where you'll be able to do better in it as you improve, you'll get grinds, enchants, and runes for this. Grinds allow you to increase substats on your runes depending on what grind for what set, and enchant stones will allow you to replace substats. I'll show you guys an example here. Just today I found this crit rate enchant, so this would effectively replace a substat on a rune and turn that substat into crit rate. For example, if I wanted crit rate on this rune and I converted this speed to crit rate, then it would take away the speed substat and give me anywhere from a 3 to 5% amount of crit rate. Of course I'm not going to do that, but you could convert stats into other stats. You could even convert speed into speed, potentially making the speed substat higher. Of course it won't go below 6, which is the base number I have right now, but it could go anywhere up to 7 or 8. And then after that, if you have grinds, you can increase the stat further, from different amounts depending on the rarity of the grind. And you get those from the Tartarus Labyrinth as well. And these stages are very doable. Now, I don't think you're going to clear the Labyrinth consistently in a farming guild, in a low to mid-level farming guild, because there's just so much to clear, and then you get to the bosses. There's just some areas of the Labyrinth are just so mechanically intense that it requires a lot of players with a lot of monsters at their disposal. Now, you could do these on different difficulties, of course, to make them easier. If you do it on easy mode, and you're using units that are runed and 5-starred or better, as long as the runes are half decent, you're probably going to be able to clear it on easy, maybe even normal. So you are still going to be able to reap rewards from that if you want to put in some extra time. But depending on the guild, it might not even matter whether or not you do that, just because some guilds don't really mind. Now, when it comes to the Guild Magic Shop, you can occasionally find good runes and even monsters out of here, 3- and 4-star monsters. Now, the most notable ones that we're going to talk about, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys here. But there are plenty of 4-stars that show up there, even the ones that I'm not really talking about. For example, the Rakshasas all show up. All 3 elements of Rakshasa show up in the Guild Shop. The main one we're going to talk about is Hua, the fire one, because she's really, really influential in making your faster Giant Speed 10 team. Once you've, have a consistent team, have plenty of, good quality or better runes. And when I say good quality or better, I mean 6-star blue runes, that have 2 of the substat that you want, and then roll into maybe 3 or 4 total substats that you want on the rune. So, pretty decent quality runes. Once you're going into a faster team, Hua makes it pretty consistent because even though she's a fire monster, she's going to focus down those crystals, which are likely the main cause of team failures as you progress into a speed team. Also, her scaling with speed means that she can be very fast and get a lot of turns while still increasing her damage, so you're not sacrificing your damage output to give her speed, whereas with some monsters like Magic Knight or Sigmaris, it might feel like your unit hits a little bit softer as a result of you putting more speed on them. But she doesn't have that issue. Her attack bar reduction is passive based, so every time she attacks, she has a chance to reduce the attack bar, as well as having a 20% chance to attack again. And that can, that's crazy because you can get additional attack bar reduction, additional damage. And now with that, we can see this, the skill ups in the most recent update. We could actually see that, her attack speed slow actually increases as you skill her up. Her second skill, goes down to 3-turn cooldown. So she's constantly spamming out these dots. She's constantly landing speed slow and getting attack bar reduction. So what she brings to the team is a crazy amount of damage that scales off of speed. She brings pretty consistent attack bar reduction, believe it or not, even against water monsters, she does really well. And she's going to focus on those crystals, which allows your team to really be successful because that crystal ignore defense, that AoE can really wreck your team when you're focusing more on damage and less on those tanky substats. So she's a crazy monster who is in the guild magic shop. If you find her along the way, if you see her, I urge you to buy those pieces. It's about 100 to 150,000 mana, if I remember correctly, to get pieces to get 5 pieces of them. After you've seen her in the shop 5 times, you can then finish her up with those almighty summon scrolls, almighty pieces that I talked about earlier. Now that's going to cost 1,000 guild points total to do, but if you stack it up over time and have it ready for when you found the pieces, it makes it a little bit faster of a process. I've already started with a few monsters that I'm going to name on this account, and I'll show you guys in a moment, or after I've finished talking about the monsters that I have collected some of those pieces. Now you can see monsters like the Fire Barb as well. I'm not a huge fan of the Fire Barb in terms of utility, in terms of use in multiple areas of the game. He's not as efficient as some of the other monsters. So we're going to hop into the wind category, and the main monster we're going to talk about here is going to be Hraesvelg. Now, for those of you who have followed my main account, and even the Leica account along the way, and some of my other alternate accounts, you will know that I love this monster. I've loved him for over a year now. He just brings so much to the table in terms of damage dealt, in terms of self-healing, in terms of utility, in terms of just all around. His stats are great. His kit is really, really strong for PvE and even PvP in some areas of the game. Hraesvelg can just stomp people. You can see him used at high-level RTA on Despair sets to stun with his crazy third skill. But we're going to talk about why he's so insane here. In Giant Speed 10, of course, he is a wind monster, which already gives him sort of an edge compared to other monsters because you do have, you don't need as much crit rate. You can just naturally do more damage and take less damage because of your attribute. He does 2 continuous damage effects for 1 turn on the first skill. Yes, it's 60% harmful effect rate at max skill, and you still need accuracy, but still, 2 dots is 10% of any enemy's max HP, and when you get to the boss stage, this starts to stack up with his turn advantage. His second skill is a brand for 2 turns. And it's on a 2-turn cooldown, so it's going to have 100% uptime, barring that the AI does not, decide to use something else. But if the AI is correct, this is going to be a 2-turn, 100% uptime branding effect, which is going to increase your damage by 25%. And after using this ability, he gets a 50% increase to his attack bar. In addition to that, it's about a 400% multiplier. So you're going to see some good numbers with that, especially when he starts stacking his own attack buff and attack speed. With this skill, the third skill, it's an AoE attack, which does pretty good damage, increases the attack speed and attack of all your allies for 2 turns with a 3-turn cooldown, and in addition to this, he gets increased speed and HP recovery every single turn that this is on cooldown. So after you use this skill, you'll be sped up and you'll have the attack buff. In addition to that, you're going to be getting increased attack speed and you're going to be recovering HP for every turn until it's up again. And because it's 2 turn with a 3-turn cooldown, if he's fast enough to go before your other main nukers, he is actually going to have 100% uptime with this skill because he'll move again by the time he needs to put attack buff and attack speed up again. So you're going to have almost 100% uptime attack speed and attack buff and 100% uptime on your brand. In addition, you're going to have, crazy damage from his multipliers. You're going to have a stupid amount of turns because the attack speed he gains, you're going to put on dots. I mean, this guy's just like the epiphany of Giant Speed 10 unit all in one package. He brings everything to the table except a defense break. If his second skill defense broke, you could solo Giant Speed 10, I'm sure. I'm sure you could see some build of him soloing Giant Speed 10 if he had some form of defense break on him. but he's crazy. He really doesn't multi-hit that much, so I mean it's fine. He doesn't really get revenge. Even if he does, he's really easy to make tanky with, you know, just 1 or 2 substats into HP and defense, plus the fact that he's wind already. I mean, this guy's a real monster. I love him in every team that I build, and on top of that, he synergizes with Hua. Since Hua is based on attack and attack speed, when he uses his third skill in that brand, he's going to drastically increase her damage too, because she's double dipping from the buffs between attack buff and attack speed buff, and she's getting the brand effect from the second skill, so she's going to increase damage even more. So those 2 units actually synergize well with each other too. So I think this guy's insane, and if you find him, make sure you pick him up. This guy would be my first replacement when making progress toward a faster team, and we're gonna talk about this after I talk about another monster you can find here. Just a monster you can pick up for a faster clear in dragons later on, as well as some great the great PvP monster to start being able to take care of certain teams with will runes, start taking care of Theomars. Aegir, this is a very optional pick. I'm probably going to be using him in Dragons B10 because I want to showcase how great he is. Same first, same second skill as Hraesvelg, and the third skill is a strip, 2-hit strip that reduces attack bar if they have no beneficial effects. And just like Hraesvelg's third skill, he gets increased speed and healing over time when this is on cooldown. So this is crazy. You know, you just suck away their attack bar or steal their beneficial effects. Stealing it, meaning that you will gain the beneficial effect after you strip it. So he's got some PvE use and plenty of PvP use, does crazy damage, gets plenty of turns, and again, his base stats are great enough where you can build him in a pretty tanky fashion as well. So also, the biggest monster here that I wanted to talk about, I don't know, I almost skipped this one, Xiaolin. Not going to be crazy relevant earlier in the game, but if you see her, I urge you to pick her up, because when you get to raid, which I hope you eventually will, I hope you guys play the game enough where you progress to the point where you are farming raid or trying to get grinds and enchants in raid 4, raid 5. Even if you're just starting in raid 3, Xiaolin's an amazing monster. She's going to do a ridiculous amount of damage based on harmful effects. So the more harmful effects you have, the more damage she's going to do with her third skill. She's got attack bar reduction and attack speed slow with her second skill, and a defense break on her first skill. And her first skill can proc into her second skill, so I mean, you can imagine some of the crazy RNG. In addition, when she's attacked and her third skill's on cooldown, she has a built-in revenge proc essentially. But it's a 25% chance instead of a revenge set's 15% chance. So with a 25% chance when you're attacked by the raid boss, you're going to revenge with your first skill, maybe proc into your second skill. I mean, you know, defense break into attack bar reduction and attack slow. So crazy stuff. Highly recommend you pick these monsters up if they're there, because they're really strong. And now with the addition of the Guild Magic Shop, they're also, you know, farmable. I would call them farmable. Everyone will see these monsters eventually. Like I said, you can get 25 pieces here and then finish off the rest of the 25 pieces in your guild shop, getting the almighty summon pieces. So that's what I'd recommend you do. Now we're going to talk about units that I would take out of what is currently our team in order to increase our damage and speed it up. Now, my first change in my team here, if I were to start working on making the team faster and start working on getting rid of some of our supports for damage dealers, I would actually take out Shannon and put in Hraesvelg. This is because we're going to get the attack speed and the attack buff still. The defense buff is going to become a little bit less relevant because we have the Darien for the damage reduction, we have the Bella for the healing, we have 2 defense breakers here. Now we're going to have this crazy attack buffer who has constant attack speed and crazy brand uptime and dots as well. So he's going to bring all that to the table as well. You could start off, if you're putting this guy in your team and you're building him on a speed, crit damage, HP build. You don't have to give him attack just to start, so he can have more survivability when you're worried more about having the uptime on the attack buff and the speed buff. Absolutely, I'd recommend him on either Swift or Fatal. Either way, I'd put him, try to make him faster than your Sig at least, so at least, you know, in this case, it would be about plus 80 speed in order to be faster than the Sig. And with the speed slot too, if you're on Swift, that's really easy to obtain. Like I said, you could put him on a tankier build to start just to make sure you have that nice uptime, but try to give him accuracy as you improve his rune quality. Obviously, he has a lot of stats that he's looking for, speed, crit rate, crit damage, accuracy, and then you want attack and HP as you can get them. But I think he's an amazing, inclusion in your team. And then if you get Hua, I would actually start working on either taking out Darien or Magic Knight, depending on your rune quality. Now, if your runes aren't crazy amazing, then I might just take out Magic Knight over Darien, because you still get the damage reduction and the healing from Bella. But if your runes are great and you're confident in it, and your Magic Knight's really strong, and your Sig's strong, and your Hraesvelg's strong, and your Hua's strong, then you can keep the Magic Knight in here. But as you can see by my Magic Knight is not that great. Even if her stats look good to some newer players, when you're really looking for a 4 damage dealer composition, which is essentially what I'm talking about when you take out Darien and Shannon, you have 4 damage dealers plus a Bella Dion for the defense break that's consistent and the healing to make sure the team survives sometimes when it shouldn't. You really want to make sure your runes are top notch, and my Magic Knight needs maybe another 600 or 700 attack in order to be where I want her to be at if I were to put her in that comp. And I'm not even sure I want to give Magic Knight that kind of rune priority, especially if we're talking about having Hraesvelg and talking about Hua. So my progression would probably be to take out the Magic Knight, rely on the AoE from Sigmaris, rely on the crystal killing from Hua, and the crazy AoE damage from Hraesvelg, and that would carry me through. Now, I'm just talking about where I would use the units here. Of course, if you have these units, if you have decent runes, play around with your own compositions and see what works best with your runes, because although I can show you guys how I progress on my account, we don't have the same runes, we don't have the same RNG when it comes to pulling monsters, etc. But I hope this was an insightful episode. I hope you guys really got my point of, how crazy it can be once you join a guild, all the crazy benefits that you're going to get for your account, and the great monsters we now have access to in the guild magic shop. If you guys have any questions or comments on Summoner's War or this account in particular, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.